And that question of keeping track of things, I think that's a great phrase, right? Because that's really what all this stuff is about, keeping track of things. And then that poses the question of, well, what's worth keeping track of, and how? And that's where I think we need to notice the assumptions being built into blockchains now, and ask ourselves, what other assumptions might we bring into designing these things? The on the one hand, the initial design, Bitcoin, I've spent a lot of time reading like the scattered writings of Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that was, right? This is like someone whose views I find politically repugnant, right? And a lot of those assumptions of like, the gold standard type monetary theory, the idea that the real problem is politics and democratic leverage in the financial system. These are real issues, and they're baked into some of the core designs. Now, I think the designs have been drifting. Ethereum, I think, is a step away from Bitcoin. Some of the more recent designs are stepping slowly away from some of those original patterns, but we need to recognize some of those are still embedded, and ask ourselves, well, if we were to build blockchains, if we were to keep track of things, what are the things we want to keep track of? What kinds of rights do we want embedded in these systems? Right now, the rights that are embedded are like immutability, the ability to do things and not have them reversed by anybody, a kind of anti-censorship maybe, that once something gets said recorded on a blockchain, it can't be removed. That you could carry out transactions anonymously, that's a kind of right that's embedded into some of these systems more than others. But what about rights to a healthy environment? What about rights to that might prevent the worst kinds of abuses that these tools might be used? What about rights to fair economic relationships, so that, for instance, a blockchain just might not be able to run a contract that involves exploitative terms, right? Right now, there's no protection against that sort of thing. And there's no reason why you couldn't embed those kinds of protections into these systems, and actually create systems of enforcement that might be more powerful than our current human rights regime, right?